Ever wonder why you struggle with relationships, have a hard time enjoying life, or deal with more health issues? In this video, I'm going to talk about Venus in your natal chart and wounded feminine energy, as well as what you can do to make it better. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you want to show your support, please leave me a like, a comment, subscribe, and press that notification bell. Watch more of my content or say thank you by buying me a tea, a coffee, a trinket, whatever your heart desires. Thank you for being here. Before we dive in, a couple of announcements. If you want to work with me and you have questions that require one-on-one consultation, you want me to look at your chart and answer any burning questions you have, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Like I said, I do natal readings, which are more general, relationship compatibility readings, and predictive readings. And on my website, you can find a variety of products I create. In this video, we're talking about love, so I'd like to highlight my Venus in Libra 3 candle. This one captures Venus in the sign of rulership, and it could be helpful for anyone dealing with romantic tensions, misunderstandings, misconnections. If you find yourself getting involved with unavailable people, this energy, this candle has a very charming, joyful, chill, romantic vibe, so it can help you both connect with yourself and enjoy life more, as well as draw in a perfect partner. Highly recommend this for anyone with a Libra rising, Gemini rising, Aries rising, if your natal Venus is an Aries, Scorpio, or Virgo, if it's in the 12th house, 8th, or 6th houses, or if you were born with Venus retrograde. And exalted Venus is also powerful Venus. This candle is green and it's decorated with aquamarine stones. This one is a little bit more chill and romantic, and so this could be perfect for Pisces rising, Virgo Venus, Scorpio Venus, and Aries Venus as well. So let's talk about, this video is dedicated to wounded feminine energy, and this topic is really close to heart for me because I am born with Venus in Virgo, which is the sign of Venus's fall. And so I am someone who has sort of natally this like wounded feminine energy. So for the longest of times I've been, when I first learned about it, of course, I felt depressed because that's the nature of Venus in Virgo. It's in its fall because it falls in a trap of like obsessing and thinking negative thoughts. But then I started working with this energy and, started creating these candles and created bracelets, and there's definitely ways to make things better. So before we talk about specific placements and improvements, let's talk about Venus in general. You've heard me talk about Venus before. If you've been here for a while, Venus is our planet that is connected to relationships. She's connected to beauty, love, and pleasure. And she's connected to enjoying things, right? Like if you have a healthy Venus, you're able to see beauty everywhere. You're able to have fun. You're able to attract pleasure. You're able to be in the moment. That's why, this exalted Venus energy, people who are born with Venus and Pisces, they tend to be so good with going with the flow. Like it takes them in the wrong direction sometimes, sure, but they have this soul of someone who is just connected and plugged in. And of course, other things need to be considered in a chart, but it's Venus is all about attraction. She's all about joy. She's all about affection and amusement and friendships and a good time, right? So if you have a healthy Venus, like I said already, you can take pleasure in life. You are able to eat a piece of cake and not worry about it ending on your hips or on your waist, right? You find beauty in things. When I was in Nepal recently, I befriended a Venus in Libra girl, and she was just she would take pictures in such a way where she sees how light is falling, and she has this ability to make a video that, there's just natural tendency to notice beauty. And healthy Venus can see it. It can both kind of understand the value of things without being too like overly enthusiastic about things. There's ability to appreciate what's happening in life, to appreciate people, appreciate relationships, right? Being able to embrace life, like say yes to things. But of course, once again, without excessive energy. And so when do you have a healthy Venus, right? What is considered healthy Venus? And in order to be like really, really specific, I need to look at your chart. But in general, Venus in Libra, Venus in Taurus, Venus in Pisces. Those are 3 empowered Venus signs. Libra and Taurus are the signs of rulership. Pisces is the sign of exaltation. Taurus Venus is a yin Venus. It is all about being charming, being beautiful, and like attracting things by just like, people with Taurus Venus might often have like a very curvy body, very like feminine look. They're sort of enticing without necessarily being like forceful. Versus Venus in Libra is this young Venus, right? It's like a social butterfly. She will go out there to attract people. She will flirt with you, with you, with you. She will give everyone charm and attraction and affection, and she will just charm the pants off of you. And then Venus in Pisces, you know, this little candle that captures this energy. Venus in Pisces is exalted, so it means it's like empowered. It's like an honored guest in the house of the king or the queen. And so Venus in Pisces is this like, it's almost like love on high volume. It's like teenage love when everything is beautiful and uplifted and like awesome, right? Venus placed angularly, Venus in the 1st, 4th, 7th, or 10th houses is great. Venus in the 5th house is lovely because that is Venus in her house joy. 5th house is about taking pleasure in life, and Venus likes being in the 5th house. Venus conjunct Jupiter, really great. Venus trine Jupiter, Venus trine the moon, Venus conjunct the moon. All of those are signs of the healthy Venus. So now let's talk about deficient Venus, right? And that's where we're starting to talk about wounded feminine energy. If you have Venus that is deficient, and I'll talk about what kind of exact signs of that and how you can find it in the chart. Venus that is deficient might bring depression. She makes it harder. She's struggling, right? So it becomes harder to enjoy life, and you don't see beauty in things as much. This is that case scenario where you're like wearing the best dress, right? Like Venus in Virgo, let's say. Like Venus in Virgo might look really, really beautiful, but because she's so perfectionist, she's not enjoying it, right? Or she makes the best meal and then she feels like it's not perfect enough. She looks at what people are saying or doing and she's obsessing about it, right? So not being able to see the beauty in things and enjoy the moment, and not being able to see the beauty in people and situations. So starting to doubt the partner, starting to be suspicious of the partner, expecting that the partner will leave, right? Like here we're talking maybe a little bit more about Scorpio Venus. Judging people based on the previous experiences, thinking that like, you know, if someone has cheated on you, the next person, you can't trust them anymore, right? So it brings issues in relationships, feeling judgy, feeling disinterested, feeling nervous, suspicious, obsessive, or pushing love away and being like, love is stupid, it's not necessary, you know, people will disappoint you anyways. And then deficient Venus can also bring health issues. She can bring issues with reproductive organs, you know, things like endometriosis, fibroids, uterine problems, ovary problems. It can bring more sexually transmitted issues, and it can bring sugar-related issues, so diabetes, and you know, if you know other ones, let me know. I know diabetes mostly. And so when are you more likely to have this wounded feminine energy, this deficient Venus? So first of all, if your Venus is placed in a darker house, right? If she's placed in the 6th, 8th, or 12th houses, those are the houses where we can see the energy. It's sort of tucked away in the dark place, and planets in the 6th, 8th, or 12th houses get overwhelmed dealing with difficult experiences, right? Venus in the 6th will be focusing on health issues, work issues, serving others, taking care of a lot of mundane things where she's not so focused on pleasure and joy. It's harder for her because her to-do list is crazy busy. Venus in the 8th house may be constantly bombarded with surprises and difficult situations and death and challenging experiences, or she's dealing with debts and helping other people, tending to other people. She's too focused on what people are thinking and doing to be able to enjoy life, right? And then Venus in the 12th house. 12th house is this place of confusion, difficulty, upheaval. So Venus placed in the 12th house might naturally inspire a person or suggest that a person is gonna chase difficulty, create drama, choose partners who are complicated, traumatized, right? Addictive, have addictive tendencies, have escapist tendencies. Venus conjunct Sun. Venus is combust. That's another situation where Venus is not maybe strong. And I would say like within 10 degrees, if Venus is close to the Sun by 10 degrees on each side, that is considered combust, because then she is too overpowered by the Sun. Whatever your Sun is trying to do, whatever the goal of the Sun is, Venus is right there and she doesn't have as much power. Now, this is slightly alleviated if your Venus is in Taurus, Libra, or Pisces. It is called Venus in its carriage. Carriage, right? So basically she's like under an umbrella. She's protected. Venus retrograde is another wounded example, because Venus retrograde is Venus descended, that has just descended into the underworld, and she's dealing with ambivalence, polarization, self-respect issues, self-doubt, a little bit more relationship struggle. It might suggest that you have grown up with some kind of difficulty, and so it's harder for you to trust, perhaps. Like, love is really important for you, relationships are really important, but it's harder to find stability because the retrograde is just encouraging you to learn to deal with a little bit lack of stability, right? Venus in a difficult aspect to Saturn, and I would go as far as say conjunction, square, or opposition to Saturn. Because Saturn creates the energy of hardship, separation, loneliness. It might suggest that you are, you have to struggle more. You go through periods of rejection, denial. Even Venus ruled by Saturn, so Venus in Aquarius or Venus in Capricorn, might suggest that there's a lot of lessons you first have to learn and integrate. So there are a lot of conditions, right? And of course, Venus in the weaker signs, so Venus in Aries, Virgo, or Scorpio, is additionally considered as weaker Venus. So starting with Venus in Aries, right? Like if your Venus is in Aries, it is Venus in its detriment. And planets in detriment are considered to be far from home. They're exactly opposite the signs that are in rulership. So Venus rules Libra, Aries is opposite Libra, Venus is far away from home, so she is in detriment in Aries. And oftentimes people born with Venus in Aries, they had to grow up independently. Maybe they lost a parent. Maybe they had to fight for themselves. Maybe they had to show a lot of strength, right? And so they've grown up sort of cherishing independence, and they can be so good at cheering people on. They can be like the best cheerleaders, and they empower women, they encourage independence. It's very Xena the warrior energy. And it's a very masculine Venus. It's like Venus in the sign of Mars. So she becomes direct. People with this placement, they don't love to flirt necessarily. They are, they like you, they go for it. They're very impulsive, very kind of quick romantically. And sometimes that can actually, that can be difficult too, because they might jump into situations that are not good for them. They might choose sort of chase over the conquest. They might crave that intense experience and crave like some kind of conflict and drama in a relationship. And of course the goal is to like be more aware of it and find ways to have challenges in a relationship that are healthy, where maybe you're fighting for a cause together with your partner, or you're competing in some kind of athletic event, you're like exercising together instead of being competitive with each other. But it is a more difficult placement for Venus. And next we have Scorpio Venus, which is another sign of detriment. Scorpio Venus is opposite Taurus, which is the domicile of Venus. So when you have Venus in Scorpio, by nature, you know, as a kid maybe, or like early on, you've dealt with difficult relationships. You've dealt with maybe betrayal. It could have been from family members. It could have been in the family. You've gotten to, you've seen relationships as these like intense, maybe power dynamics. And then in your romantic life, you may have to go through some betrayal, through some loss, through some challenges, even like, abandonment on some level, or like people not quite reciprocating your feelings, or people, like I said, disappointing you, and so as a result you end up very guarded. And so people with this Venus, they are the most passionate, because it's once again Mars sign, so most passionate, really sexual, even more like, they crave this like relationship where you're so close, you're like closer than skin level, relationship, and you're naked without skin. But the challenge is this like martial issues, right? Doubt, maybe like, I don't know, following your partner, checking their phone, being on some level sort of like, even pushing things and saying that it's like okay if somebody leaves you, because you're almost like scared of people leaving you. So that's a difficult placement. And then Venus in Virgo, which is Venus in her fall. And fall is different from the detriment. So Venus in Aries, Venus in Scorpio, it's almost like there is like no Venusian energy on some level, like there's not like a sense of lack, versus the fall, it's almost like you were somewhere high up, you've had a sense of like what love is, what beauty is, and you're longing for it, but somehow you end up like fallen, right? So Venus in Virgo oftentimes as a kid gets criticized, gets put through under microscope and sort of picked apart, and maybe all of the flaws and imperfections get pointed out. Like, as a Venus in Virgo myself, my dad would like not let me have ice cream. He would always tell me like it's falling, eat it more carefully, or like I would point at something with my finger, he was like, point with your hand. So like it was definitely there, like that sense of like. And then my mom would compliment my cousin and be like, your cousin is blobbity bloob. And I'm like, but what about me? I'm your child, right? So like as a Venus, and please share if this is you, if this is your experience, I would be so curious to know. But you end up having these people around you that are very critical, that point out everything that's imperfect, and then this voice gets stuck in your head. And then this tendency to kind of fall into a trap of like thinking negative thoughts and spiraling and like building very kind of challenging storylines in your head are quite common. And so Venus in Virgo can make like really great hairdressers or plastic surgeons, or like, Martha Stewart has Venus in Virgo, like someone who's like a decorator. I actually don't fully know what she's doing. I need to watch a movie on Netflix. But like, it's very kind of humble placement, very perfectionist, and it can be quite successful, but there is that tendency to like not enjoy things. Venus in Virgo really struggles enjoying things. And so how can you work with this, right? Like what can you do to strengthen these placements? So the first thing is you gotta accept your strengths. You gotta understand that Venus in Scorpio is deeply passionate. Nobody loves like you do. Venus in Aries, fiercely independent, biggest cheerleader, best pioneer for women, and, can advocate for like difficult experiences. Both Venus in Scorpio and Venus in Aries can be like really powerful advocates for like women who have been through assault and challenges, because a lot of times they may have also dealt with it on some level or another. And Venus in Virgo, this sort of attention to detail, perfectionism, ability to like kind of commit to things and make them great. So you gotta accept and note your strength, and know your strength as well as know your flaws, right? Sticking with Venus and Virgo, know that you have a tendency to fall into a trap of negative thinking. So if you're starting to feel yourself spinning, try to stop. And then you can work on making it better. And the way you make it better is by bringing this planet into your awareness. You gotta honor the planet. So every Friday, which is the day of Venus, you can do rituals. And the rituals involve lighting a candle. Once again, Venus in Libra, exalted Venus, and Venus in Taurus are my main three Venuses, right? This is rulership, Venus in Libra, and Venus in Taurus is in rulership, and Venus in Pisces, exalted Venus, is exalted. So I made these to help myself, right? As a Venus in Virgo, I create all of these because I want to capture the powerful moments and have them when things are less fun, when things are difficult, because you never know when this next sort of episode of a fall might come about. So Friday, day of Venus, you could light a candle and you can read a prayer to Venus. You can write it, or you can Google planetary prayers and find a prayer for Venus. You can also book a reading with me and I'll send you a prayer. Wearing gemstones that are connected to Venus is another way of attunement. So rose quartz is Venus, emerald is Venus, as well as diamond. Many people already wear diamonds if they're married, or if you wear it, you might already be attuning and working with Venus. Aquamarine stone, white coral are also connected to Venus. So wearing jewelry, the more closer it's to your skin, the better, because you want the stone to be like right on your skin. Copper is also the metal of Venus. So I actually made bracelets, and at the time of this video, I still have 2 of those, but they might sell out pretty fast. I made bracelets for Venus, and so there's a copper disc with Venus symbols, and it's rose quartz, which is the stone of Venus. And then on Friday, you can also, you can do good deeds for Venusian people, so donating to women, and like the more charity, donating your time, donating money, donating energy, donating clothes, right, to a charity of your choice, but the more it's connected to what you're working on, like if you're dealing with diabetes, then donate to a charity for women dealing with diabetes. If you're dealing with health issues that are connected to the reproductive system, donate to that charity. If you've had like rape in your past, or you've had some kind of abuse, donate to that. Like give your time and attention to that difficult experience. Give back as much as you can. And then I would also do something nice for yourself on Friday. It also includes wearing green, because Venus is connected to green. That's why exalted Venus is green, right? I love this one. It smells so fresh too. But yeah, wearing green, lighting candles, and then doing sort of nice rituals that involve buying yourself flowers, eating delicious meals, beautifully smelling, tasty, aesthetically pleasing meal, going on a date, even if that means taking yourself out, dressing well, indulging the senses, right? Just chilling and allowing yourself to have fun. Even if you start small, you start with like one day at a time, that counts. So this is my take at the wounded feminine, and as you can tell, I don't think that if you have a difficult placement, that's a diagnosis forever. That's like a verdict. I think you can work with things. If you have any questions, book a reading at Anastasia.astrology.com. We can dig really deep, like look at all the details, describe your chart, describe your placements, analyze it, talk about improving things. And I will talk to you very soon. I'm probably going to do a wounded masculine energy for those born with more difficult Mars placements. And if you have any other ideas for videos, any content you'd like to see from me, please share in the comments below and subscribe if you haven't yet. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.